Allison.
Hello.
Hi, Chad.
Hey, Joyce.
Hi,
Welcome.
Joyce. It's good to see you.
That's good to have you at CBA. We're so excited for you guys to see
We can't wait.
our stuff.
What have you got to show us?
Okay. Well, let's go this way first.
Okay.
So you can see over here, as we get closer and the lights get on it, that this is our truck. This is the truck that we bought with the grant from y'all's generous donations.
Yes.
So we were able to replace our old heavy-duty truck that we use for for restoration and oyster recycling. And so we got it, and we've got these nice graphics on it that we also paid for with the grant. You can see we've got Impact100 logo down here, along with our other partners at Americorps.
Yes.
Right? And so another part that we got with the grant for our oyster shell recycling program is this trailer.
Okay.
And we had this trailer custom designed. So it has some features that would really help us to transform our oyster shell recycling program.
All right, let's look at those.
And Chad can show you those featers that we have and kind of show you what else we got.
Right, so it's very luxurious, especially if you remember what we had last time.
Yes.
Because these things weigh like a couple 100 pounds when they're full of oysters. So we got these really nice bins here. And we drop these off at the restaurants, and they'll fill them up with oysters. And these things are heavy duty, and it makes it just, like I said, real easy to roll right down.
Oh, nice.
Especially when these are full with oysters, picking them up and just dragging them right up here.
So rather than having 3 people manhandle the 200 and something pound bin, we can have even one person can do this job. So it's really kind of freed up our personnel, as well as just made it more streamlined and easier for us to work and collect more oyster shell.
Absolutely. And that was a part of your grant purchase as well.
The bins, the trailer, the signs on the side,
Wonderful.
everything.
Good.
So it's kind of like a nice package together.
Excellent. And so I see piles. What are the piles?
Okay, so the piles are the fruits of our labor, right?
Okay.
So our oyster shell recycling program, you can see here, this is the oyster shell after it's cured in the sun. It gets clean, and that we put it up here to where it's ready to be bagged up.
Okay.
And you can see over here, there's some bagged oyster shell. This is something that volunteers come and help us do. Our Americorps members help do this. And so these literally form the building blocks of a reef. So we can use those to kind of build up a structure that the young oysters will settle on.
And why is that important?
Well, Chad, you want to address that?
Sure.
We were talking about this earlier.
Yeah, well, it's good because, well, for one thing, we collect it from the restaurants that would normally just throw it away. And we take them back and we use them because they're the perfect surface for oysters when they throw out their spawn, oyster spat, to settle on, because it has that calcium carbonate right there.
Okay.
So we use natural oyster shells to rebuild the oyster reefs, which will, when the oyster spat is in the water column, they'll attach onto these. They have a little leg they'll attach on, and then they'll interweave in between all those shells and really hold the reef together really well. So when the oysters are great for the water quality and to rebuild like all the oyster populations in the bay, because with the oysters, they naturally filter the water, so they'll be filtering out a bunch of excess nutrients and things like that really degrade the water quality, and they'll help keep it really clear and clean. Also, what we're trying to do is, since oysters are a keystone species, they really play a big role in giving other creatures in the bay a nice environment too that they are lacking.
Okay.
So it has a bunch of different benefits.
It does.
Yes, it does.
So a really valuable project all the way around.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah, and we're also another one of the building blocks of the bay that we are focusing on in our project is seagrass.
Okay.
And so that's the part that we're developing right now. We've actually already been using the truck and the trailer and the bins, and we've amassing a lot more oyster shell, and we're branching out to Fort Walton and adding to our program. But so now we're really working on building up that seagrass growth component, and our seagrass aquaculture tanks are actually supposed to be here this week.
Oh,
we'll have,
good.
yeah, we'll have one set up right here, and it will have a viewing window in it. So we can kind of have this as an outdoor classroom where people can see the seagrass, and we can talk about how important it is for the environment. And then our other tank is going to Freeport High School, where our education technician, Allie, has been working with the teacher there, help building the curriculum, growing seagrass in small tanks in the classroom, and kind of setting the foundation for them to have a big aquaculture tank outside there at Freeport High School. So it's going to be a really cool outdoor classroom for them.
Yes. Oh, that's great. I love it. This is wonderful.
Okay.
So the education building.
Yes. So we can go over here to the education building and see one of the other components of the grant.
Excellent.
A major component.
And I see the van.
Yes.
So what do you use the van for mostly?
So the van is to transport our education team, which is our education staff from CBA and our Americorps members that stay with us for a year. We really need reliable transportation for them. Okay. So you guys saw how bad off we were as far as our other van and provided us with this one. So you can see we've got lots of room here. We've got the same matching graphics, so we really look like a team going down the road with our van and our truck. And so this has really been a blessing for us to have this.
Yeah, and we have how many Americorps? Like 15 this year, and this van does an excellent job of fitting everybody, so we wouldn't have to take multiple vehicles too, saving a lot of gas and things like that.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, wonderful. Well, I want to talk about your grant and what that was like and what the process was like. Can we go inside?
Yeah, let's go inside.
So what is all of this?
Okay, so this is our education building, and this will be familiar to anyone who came out here over the several years that we applied for the grant. This was where we had our display lots of times.
Okay.
So anyway, we had the college built this building for us. They enclosed part of the pole barn here, and we asked for shelves so we can hold all of our education materials. So we go to in a given year, we go anywhere from 17 to 23 schools every month. If we were going to go to Elliott Plain Elementary School today and we wanted to take a lesson, then everything's ready here. These are all of our education supplies. And so we try to keep them organized, but we love our shelves. So we're very grateful to have them, our shelves and our bins.
Yes.
So this just represents some of the stuff that the materials and supplies that we have for lessons when we teach kids how to be good stewards of our watershed through these hands-on science lessons that get them really excited about our watershed, because it's like once they know about the watershed, then they come to care about it, and then they take care of it.
Absolutely. Well, let's sit.
Yeah, have a seat here.
So Allison, you have been with CBA how long?
I've been here since 2007.
Okay.
January of 2007. So.
And you led the charge for applying for the grants.
I did. I was the first year that you guys had the grant. The Julie Terrell, who was our director then, she applied for the grant at that time, and we were a finalist, I believe, the first year. And I think we applied all years since then, except for 2. And then we were finalists several times, or probably 3 times, I think. And the 2 years that we sat out, we were just emotionally exhausted. But we never gave up. We did not give up, because everyone was so encouraging, and we knew that we felt like our time would come. We felt like we were a good fit for you guys. And so we kept at it.
So some people don't know what that process is like. talk to them about what it's like to apply for an Impact 100 grant. And I know you've applied for grants with other organizations. Talk about some of the differences.
Yes, so we are entirely grant, donor, and contract funded. So some of the things we do are contracts for services. It's very straightforward. Somebody needs water quality monitored, and we can do that, and then they pay us. We write for a variety of different kinds of grants to foundations and different things, but where you write the grant, you tell your story, you put your budget in there, try to be as detailed as you can, and answer all the questions that they have, and then they get back to you. The Impact 100 grant is different than that, very much different than that. There is the process where, there's the kickoff informational meeting where you guys try to make sure that everyone has as much information as possible and that they meet people that have applied for and gotten the grant. And I think that's very helpful. And then there's the grant writing process is familiar to other grant writing processes. And then, of course, once you decide on finalists, your group, the Impact 100 decides on finalists, then if you're in one of the finalists, you have to give a 5-minute talk with no visual aids whatsoever, no PowerPoint, no puppets, no songs, no nothing. And some of us are not public speakers, and some of us are. I was always more comfortable in the field, and so it was. Oh, and also, in order to get to be a finalist after you turn your grant in, then you guys come and do a site visit. And you can do a site visit everywhere. Right. For anybody that turns in their grant. And so that's great that you guys go around and get to see everyone. And so we had several visits out here, and we call it the pageant. We would put on a pageant. And Chad, even being here 3 years, you were present for 2, weren't you? Yeah. 2 of our Impact 100 pageants. And we would just think, like, how can we best show what we do and what we love and show our heart, and so that's what I mean when I say sometimes it was just like we had to rest for a year because it was very, we were just putting it all out there.
It's a very rigorous process.
It is, yeah.
And I know you understand because we're talking about $100,000 plus.
Absolutely.
And most organizations aren't giving grants of that size for you to be able to spend over a 2-year period of time. And then even after you receive a grant, you have a board member who acts as your liaison for those 2 years to work with you, because we have a responsibility to all of the women who donated their $1,000, right?
Absolutely. It's very hands-on, but I feel that it's also very connected to the community. So I feel that you are all community members, and I could call up any one of probably 15 people right off the bat that I can think of, and speak to you about this grant or the process, or I think is very valuable. It makes it stand out from any other grant we've ever applied for. And like I said, the process is different from what we're used to, but it's helped me personally and us as an organization to be able to tell our story as a nonprofit. We can't just say, well, we're scientists and we're doing a good job and you should support us. You know what I mean? It's helped us, which is what I would prefer to say. But I think, but it's really, I've come around. I've learned a lot from this process, and I think our organization has as well. It's been matured through the process.
And that's a part of our mission as well, is to help the nonprofits to grow.
Yes.
Well, we've got some folks who are watching and have questions.
Okay.
So let me see what questions they have sent. We've got lots of questions. So they're saying, go back over what you got with the grant, because they missed a little bit of what was outside. So talk about the truck and the van and the trailer and the bins.
Okay.
Okay. So pretty much we got, I'm Chad, I'm the ecology technician, as you guys know. I oversee the oyster shell recycling program, which is what we got the new truck and trailer for, and all the bins out there. So pretty much, if you guys remember the dire circumstances of our old truck and trailer and what we were using, it was pretty bad, and it was on its last legs. So it really was a huge impact in getting this Ford F-350 new trailer and bins with wheels on it to make it really easy to transport the oyster shells.
We got about 30 of the 30-gallon wheeled bins, which they're not cheap, and then of course the custom-made trailer and all the graphics that identify our organization and yours.
Right, so yeah, half those bins that you saw on the trailer, there's another half at restaurants right now, and we'll go pick those up. During the off season, we'll go to these restaurants, pick up the oyster shells 2 times a week. But when it gets really busy around here, we'll go pick them up 3 times a week. And we have our Americorps members help us out with that. And it's really been a lot easier because we're able to focus a lot less manpower on doing things like that because it's much more easier. And it's also a lot easier maintaining those partnerships with the businesses because we have reliable transportation now. And we're able to not have to worry about our trucks breaking down and having to go around all those obstacles. So it's a big help. Yeah.
Excellent.
Right. And if I'm not sure what they missed, but we also got the van for our education program. So it's a new F-350 van, heavy duty van, 15 passenger van with all the graphics. And then we talked a little bit about the seagrass aquaculture tanks that are coming in as well.
Excellent. Okay, so here's another question. They have lots of them. Who rides in the van and where do they go?
We have, again, we mentioned our Americorps team. The Americorps is like the domestic Peace Corps. So we have people that serve with us that choose to give a year of service to communities around the country. And so we house one here. We have 11 members this year. We can have up to 15. So right now, they, for instance, one example is I arranged for them to do a talk at the estuary program meeting in Shipley. And so they all hopped in the van to go have that civic experience and they gave a presentation and rode back here. But then they'll also take the van to schools right now, because of COVID, we are very limited in what we're doing in schools, obviously. So we have these lessons in a box, where we take the hands-on materials and to the schools, and we've tooled all of our lessons to where we have videos that we show live on Zoom, and we have question answers on Zoom with them, and then do the hands-on lesson with them, like they have the box and the materials, and then we are doing it here. So
that's great.
Yeah,
that's great. How many schools pre-COVID do you visit each year?
Anywhere from so our Grasses and Classes program, which is our biggest program, and that's in elementary school. So that's 3rd and 5th grade in Okaloosa and Walton counties. And between those 2 counties, our high number is 22 schools, I think, and then the lower number this year because of COVID is 17. And on top of that, we are usually in 3 or 4 junior high or middle schools, as we call them now, middle schools for our Deans in School program, and then we'll be in 3 or 4 high schools as well. And we also do summer programs and library programs.
Wonderful. Yeah. So they're definitely getting used. The van is definitely getting used.
We see 3,000 students annually, so our education team is in a vehicle every single day. So we're getting a lot of use. And even if, I was just telling Chad, like sometimes I just hop in the van and by myself and drive around because it's like a giant billboard for our organization.
Sure.
It raises awareness.
Speaking of, some of the women want to know, how can individuals support the work that you do?
We have extensive volunteer opportunities, and it's not just oyster reef building. We need which is a very fun physical activity, but we also have a lot of other, any talent that you might have is probably something that we could use in our organization. We're having a membership drive right now. We are looking to get 100 new members by June 30th. We're kind of halfway through that. It's a very modest goal, we think, and you can join us at basinalliance.org. There's a big button in the middle of the screen that says join now.
Okay.
And even if you join at the $25 level, your $25 funds one lesson for one of our 93 classrooms.
Okay.
So it's anything helps.
So everything helps.
Yes, and you can sign up for our newsletter. We just sent one out today, and that has all of our volunteer activities that are coming up and information about the watershed.
Okay, and tell me the site again. What's the website name?
It's basinalliance.org.
Got it. Basinalliance.org. How many gallons of water does one oyster filter each day?
Well, 50 gallons.
Wow.
And that's from an adult oyster.
Wow.
And if you think of a whole oyster reef,
Yes.
of all those oysters filtering, that's, times 50 by however many. It's
A lot.
a lot, yeah.
It's a whole bunch.
What was the biggest challenge for putting together the 5-minute presentation to tell your story?
Well, I think so. Let me just say that by the final 5-minute presentation that I put together, I felt like I'd learned something from all the other ones, and I don't know what the biggest lesson was. I guess just trying to get at the heart of what we do out there in 5 minutes. Just trying to imagine what's going to be universally important to a room full of people, to our community, representatives of our community. Not just what's important to me, but trying to look through other people's eyes and then just get that message out there.
And I was in the audience when you gave that presentation, Allison, and the thing that made the biggest impact on me was when you told us how much water a single oyster was able to filter in an hour.
And let me just say that I helped very much to craft the presentation, but I did not give it this time.
It wasn't you?
It was not me. It was our
gave it?
monitoring coordinator, Jenna.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Well, my apologies to Jenna.
No, that's okay. She might be watching. I didn't want to
That's
steal
right.
her glory.
My apologies to Jenna. But yes, that was the thing that made me gasp, because I thought, oh wow, we need to do this. This is important. And so it did. It made a big impact. Examples of how you educate children to make them aware of this awesome initiative.
Well, are they speaking specifically about what we're doing here?
Yes, and the oysters and the reefs. And
well, so we have I'll just take our Grasses and Classes program, for example. If we're talking about educating kids, our monthly lessons are all tied to the bay. So we have a lesson about oyster anatomy. I think, let me see if I just saw one. If I had one of the, oh wow. The kids use oyster shells, and we give them, they cut out little parts and they craft the anatomy of an oyster, and then they can take that home with them at the end of the day. So we teach them the whole thread of every lesson that we teach them is that they have to take care of the bay, and here's the important parts of it. It's important because it's brackish water, and this is what salt, concentration of salt in water. This is how you measure it, and this is a plant that's important. These Spartina alterniflora, smooth core grass. This is our shoreline grass. So they learn about all these building blocks, and they have a hands-on role in actually restoring habitat, because at the end of the year they take the grasses that they've been growing all year long and they plant them at one of our restoration sites
that's
to
great.
restore salt marsh habitat.
That's great.
So we give them we teach them about all the little component parts of it, and we let them get their hands on things, and we let them, expand their minds, and then we take them out and give them a role in helping the environment. And I think that once you get that feeling, you want more, So
Yes.
so it's a gateway.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So if somebody wants to help put out oyster shells or help plant seagrass, what should they do?
So in our newsletter, that's where all of our volunteer opportunities are put out. So if you go on our website and subscribe to our newsletter every month, you'll get what's going on, how you could help, because we rely a lot on our volunteers. So one thing that we do too, we're on the east end of the watershed here, so we do a lot of volunteer events here. As far as you can never have enough oyster bags made, so that's one of the big volunteers like to do. But we just opened up a new place over at Okaloosa County.
City of Fort Walton.
City of Fort Walton,
Yep.
I'm sorry. And they donated us some land. We're actually partnering with some other oyster restaurants out there to be able to help us on some of the oyster restoration sites over that way. And coming up here in probably a couple months, we're going to be opening, or actually maybe towards the end, maybe a little bit towards the end of the year, we're going to be opening up more volunteer opportunities that way with oyster reef restoration, bagging shell, or actually just, getting in there and building the reef too.
Excellent.
But yeah, all that's always put out in our newsletter, so.
Okay.
And we're able to do that because that's a direct result of what we received from Impact100. Having the truck and the trailer has enabled us to get further down the road with reliable transportation, and so we've been able to strengthen that partnership with the city of Fort Walton.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So that means everyone needs to go to your website, sign up for the newsletter, and show up to bag oysters or plant seagrass when you announce that you're going to be doing that.
That's
Exactly.
right. And if you have any questions, you can always email us. Our email is on the website as well, and it's cba@nwfsc.edu.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for
having
coming out.
us.
It's been really fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you guys. You made a huge impact on us, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we like to hear.
That's true.
That's what we like to hear. Thank you, Chad. Thank you, Allison.
Thanks, Joyce.
Thank you, guys.